It was very bad. The near possibility of state collapse, mainly due to the government respond to the public political and economic demand pushed the nation into dangerous course. What makes the situation more dangerous was the poor relationship among the leadership. There was misunderstanding, mistrust, and mutual suspicion among the top leadership. Due to this problem,
to see results. The results vary from region to region in our country. The outcome has not been as spectacular in the pastoralist areas, and so we have had to develop a special program for the pastoralist areas. But in the other areas, the outcome has been quite good. Value to our sesame. And so the large private sector and the small holder farmers can move not only in parallel, but can intersect where it makes sense. The large private sector can add value and create opportunities for the small-scale farmer. These are the approaches that we have chosen for our agricultural transformation program.
Well, we collect data from different sources. We analyze using different techniques and mechanisms. And definitely, if you use different sources and different mechanisms to analyze the information, the output cannot be identical. So having or seeing the problem from different perspectives, we can't find a solution to solve the problem and to change the situation. To make long story short, when the situation gets worse, we sat for weeks to discuss and to evaluate as a party. Then we have achieved, finally we have achieved leadership change. Not only leadership change, but also peaceful power transfer, which is a very rare experience in Africa.
So that's one of the legs of our transformation strategy for agriculture. The other one is the involvement of the private sector, both in terms of investment in intensive agriculture, horticulture, flowers, and also extensive farming. We have attracted quite a sizable number of companies into the flower industry, for example, in Ethiopia. These farms create jobs. It's difficult to have one family living on 1 hectare of land. But the flower farm would employ about 20 people per hectare. So it's more intensive than smallholder farmers. So we have had quite a bit of that, and that's had very positive results. We have also had investments in large-scale farming. A while ago, the Minister of Agriculture of Saudi Arabia was here with a big delegation of Saudi investors interested in investment in agriculture. So we have had Saudi investment in large-scale farming, Indian investment in large-scale farming, and others. So these two legs combined and helping each other, they do not need to develop in parallel. They can help each other. I'll give you 1 or 2 examples. Pepsi Cola, together with your former institution, the World Food Program, have invested in the processing of our chickpeas to provide supplementary feeding for food insecure people. I believe this is the one that you have produced. And we hope to export this to drought and emergency affected areas instead of raw chickpea being exported abroad. Diageo, one of the breweries, was recently invested in Ethiopia, is working with small-scale farmers to produce malt for their breweries and process the product of small-scale farmers to add value. We are also working on adding.
Right after the change, the new leadership decided to listen from the public, the opinion, the grievances, so as to make a communal solution to resolve the current problem of that time. Then we have discussed with almost all corners of the country. We have traveled and we have discussed with the public to hear their grievances and their demands. Mainly, their demand were they complained about the government, about our indecision, also the widespread injustice, both in politics and economics, as well human rights violation. What we did was we didn't undermine the public grievance. We just sat and evaluate all questions which came across the country. Though we prioritize to fix some of the problems in quick wins and others in institutional reform. Like I mentioned before, we automatically lifted state of emergency. That was one of the questions of the public. And released thousands of prisoners, including journalists. Today, we don't have a single journalist in prison, and we are proud of that.
That's also rare these days, huh?
In terms of new additional money. And that, by international standards, is not really bad. So I would take that as half partially achieved. The most important departure of the L'Aquila initiative has been that whatever money was made available on the basis of CAADP. Each country was expected to develop its so-called CAADP compact, and the funding would come on the basis of that compact. So that's the new thing about this L'Aquila initiative. Now, what do we expect at Camp David? 2 or 3 things. First, to bring in the private sector into agriculture, but to do so on terms of the small-scale farmer. It's not just these village traders who can be very vicious. Some large-scale farms, as part of their supply chain, can have a long-term stunting effect on the small-scale farmer unless it's properly managed. And I'm very happy that the small-scale farmers representative in this panel has raised a taboo issue. Taboo from the point of view of policy orthodoxy that's been imposed on this continent. And that is the farmers should not be organized. If they are organized, there will be chaos. So let the private sector do the aggregation of products from small-scale farmer, the distribution of everything to small-scale farmer. That, of course, is, I will not use one of your choice words, but that, I think, is inaccurate. There have been disasters related to farmers' associations, cooperatives, and so on. But there have been disasters in everything, including in drinking Pepsi, for that matter.